In this video, we are covering plantar fasciitis and interviewing the trail running doc. We're going to ask 3 questions that a lot of you have asked about. First one is, does the surface matter? Then we're covering, does speed matter? And then, does slope or camber of the trail or road matter? All right, so this is Manny Wayne fan. We are going to cover just a few questions here, and the first one is, does the surface matter when we are actually talking about plantar fasciitis with trail running? Like
running surface, dirt, sand, rocks?
Yeah, like I imagine so there's like big boulders, like big steps. There's like the little gravel things, and then what do you call them, scrambles?
Yeah, scrambles like loose rocks.
Loose rocks, and then there's like nice pristine sand.
Pristine sand, you can tell you're from Southern California.
Well, I guess sand in the case that it's like sand in the pines.
Sure, yeah.
We'll call it dirt
Alpine
then.
Sand.
Alpine dirt.
Sierra kitty litter. So it can depend, but it doesn't always. So for most people that are pressure sensitive, like if you dig in the plantar fasciitis area, so usually like right below the heel, if it's pressure sensitive, then it'll matter more. And that's also where shoe choice matters more. I assume we'll go over that later. But if you're pressure sensitive, yes, like in-bed rocks will probably be your worst case scenario, and sand will probably be your best case scenario. If you're not pressure sensitive, it kind of comes down to testing those out and seeing what feels better or not, because it won't necessarily damage anything if you're not pressure sensitive. If you're using those different surfaces, even if it is a little bit more or less symptomatic.
So then so if I was on a trail running and I saw some rocks and I was pressure sensitive, would I just avoid those or just pick a new trail, or like, what do you think about?
Yeah, I mean, I'm biased in the sense of if I'm choosing a trail, I don't want to deviate from the trail unless I have to. Like I wouldn't go choose another one unless I really had to. So avoiding the rocks can help. Changing foot strike to a degree can help if you're landing on your toes. Mostly it's watching out for them when you're going downhill. So this is a really good way to practice your technical running of trying to avoid the rocks. But downhill, since you're coming down with gravity, that's where it's more relevant.
And does that pressure sensitivity eventually goes away, I'm assuming?
Yeah, with the right treatment, it'll go away.
Okay. So next question then, does the speed at which you're going up or down matter?
Like going up or down a hill?
Yeah.
It can. Most people who are symptomatic with hills will feel it downhill or at the beginning of the run, no matter if it's up or down. So the warm-up effect is real. If you're stepping out of bed in the morning, it's kind of like a more intense version of that. When you step out of bed in the morning and it hurts and then it warms up a little bit. Same thing can happen with running. So you're increasing intensity. It might be kind of symptomatic at the beginning and then warm up again. That can happen whether you're going up or downhill. But if, say, you're feeling pretty good on the run and then you hit some hills, more likely it will come on the downhill. And if you're going faster downhill, most people run faster downhill than uphill, depending on the trail, then it can increase that more.
So just to make sure we reiterate, is there a logical reason why running downhill increases it?
Yeah, it can be from a few, mostly biomechanic reasons. The one I see most commonly is hip extension. So if you lack the hip extension to put the back end of your stride into the position it should be, you're going to dump into something else to extend. So that can be your foot ankle. You'll be pointing your toe to push off more. It can be dumping into your low back. So if you have like a nerve referral that feels like plantar fasciitis, that's the most common boat that most people are in. So if you're going faster and downhill and you're demanding a longer kickback in your stride because of that, it'll dump more into one of those areas if you don't have the hip extension.
Okay, I guess before we go into question 3, then we should explore that, because that's a tangent. Then you said that some people have back or hip referral to the foot, or like what was can you give us just a little insight on that? I know we have other videos on it.
Yeah, so check out the other videos. We go really in depth on this, but most commonly folks who we see that have had plantar fasciitis for years and imaging's normal and nothing happened, most, but not all, most of those people are actually a nerve referral. So if you are a nerve referral case, that means what will make it better or worse may be different than a true fasciitis or irritation of the fascia on the bottom of the foot.
I know that I was discussing with someone the other day. They said that had to, they go in and they get talked to podiatrists about things. They acknowledge that a lot of the foot cases are actually referred to. And so this individual was surprised by that. He's like, I thought it would just be the foot.
Yeah.
So,
I was just hearing that a good friend of mine, actually a teammate from college, just went into podiatry in part because of these like misdiagnosed conditions in the foot. He said at the end of school, they finally have put in a little bit about nerve referral, which he was surprised to hear about because he hasn't heard anything about that from his clinical rotations. So.
Yeah, I wish I'd gone back to, there was a consensus statement I saw years ago that was, it was like 10 bullet points. I want to say it was like 10 years ago. And I think bullet point 5 was like recognizing that a strong amount of these plantar fasciitis cases are actually low back referred. And they need to refer to the according person. Third question is, so there's the slopes that are up, but then there's like the slopes that are like this, but you're going that way. I've heard of people even saying, like the road runners, they're like, well, which side of the street should I be on to help out with this? So is there a part of that with plantar fasciitis?
Yeah, I do want to, it's slight tangent. I am biased towards it doesn't matter. If you're like injury free, nothing is hurting, I don't really care what camber you're running on as long as it feels comfortable. So that slope on the edge of the trail or street and that you don't fall off of whatever you're running on. For plantar fasciitis, if it is say a nerve referral plantar fascia, there's a nerve on the outside of the foot, kind of where that ankle bone ends, that can be stretched if you are in supination here. So if you're on a trail where you're almost kind of falling to the outside of your ankle because it's cambered like that, then it can actually produce symptoms because it's stretching that nerve. If it's a true plantar fasciitis, it won't matter a ton depending on how you're using your foot and the shoes that you're wearing.
Okay. Well, I think those are all good points. Also, if you guys are looking for more information about plantar fasciitis too, we have an ebook that Mandy wrote. It's in the description or somewhere in the corner. And we have another really popular video that was about a lot of research regarding plantar fasciitis, which is in the corner as well. If you guys are looking for help too, we do offer telehealth too, and we have licensed in different states, so you can always contact us.